Well, if I said it once, I've said it twice. I'm saying it for the third time, probably multiple times. I can't count how many times I've said it before. Jon Jones is not the guy that you think he is, right? We know recently he's been exposed for some, some extra out of relation type activities, right? I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about. You've seen the video, all right? I must say, I've seen the clues from years back, years and years and years back. I voiced this on Twitter, right? And it's come to no surprise to me, you know, it is what it is. But anyway, that's not what we're here for. Jon Jones ducking Tom Aspinall, right? Again, I can't say this is any surprise to me. We saw the whole saga play out with FrancisZanu, where Jon Jones relinquished his light heavyweight title, moved up to heavyweight. He was offered a fight with FrancisZanu, and you know, for the best part of 3 years, Jon refused to come back to competition. He turned down the fight, right? Several times. Dana White made him an offer. He turned it down. You remember famously when Dana White stated that Jon wanted Deontay Wilder type money to get in there with FrancisZanu. And then he said he asked for something somewhere in the region of $15 million, which Dana White and the UFC, we know they're tight-fisted, the skinflints, they don't want to pay that type of money. So that fight was never going to happen, right? And Jon now avoiding Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall is the interim champion. He knocked out Sergey Pavlovich. Looked like he dealt with him quite easily. It was a great competitor at heavyweight in Sergey Pavlovich. Pretty shocking for me, the way that Aspinall dealt with him. It was pretty shocking, I'm not going to lie. Jon Jones wanted to fight Stipe Miocic, a man that's been out of action for the best part of 3 years. Stipe wants to make a comeback. Jon wanted to defend against Stipe and avoid Tom Aspinall, who has an interim belt. The UFC made the biggest mistake, right? A massive mistake when they decided to make an interim fight between Sergey Pavlovich and Tom Aspinall. Because now Jon doesn't want to defend the belt against Tom. It seems like he doesn't want to, because he is now calling out for Alex Pereira. He's now calling out for Alex Pereira on Twitter. And it seems like some of his fanboys are now, you know, they're obliging him. They're like, yeah, Jon, that'd be great for your legacy. Well, why don't you fight Alex? Yeah, Alex would be a great fight. Think about it. You know, champion versus champion. This is something that Jon didn't want to do in his career. When he was the light heavyweight champion, he refused to go up to fight, you know, Daniel Cormier, a man who he had beat at 205. Daniel Cormier was the champion heavyweight. Daniel Cormier offered Jon to move up to heavyweight and fight me. Let's have another fight. Our third fight at heavyweight. Jon refused. Jon point blank refused. Later on, admitting he didn't want to give Daniel Cormier an advantage because he believed that Daniel Cormier had the advantage over him at heavyweight. So Jon is now calling out for Alex Pereira. I hope the UFC don't allow it. I really hope they don't allow this to happen. Tom Aspinall deserves this fight. When has this ever happened before in the history of the UFC? I can tell you there is a particular time, right? There are a couple of particular times. One of them that sticks out to me is when Tony Ferguson was the interim champion after beating Kevin Lee. Khabib Nurmagomedov was injured at the time. Conor McGregor went on to fight Floyd Mayweather after being crowned the 155-pound champion after beating Eddie Alvarez. When Conor made his return back to the UFC after losing to Floyd Mayweather, everyone was calling for the Tony Ferguson fight, you know, because Conor had to unify against the interim champion. Conor refused to reunify. You know, the whole story with Khabib and Tony being made. Even though Conor was still holding on to the legitimate belt, Conor should have been stripped with immediate effect, but we know the UFC didn't want to strip Conor because Conor being the cash cow to the UFC, they didn't want to upset him. So they made the fight. Tony Ferguson blew his knee out. Khabib was meant to fight at Max Holloway, right? And then Max Holloway, the commission cancelled that fight, said Max couldn't make weight in time. So they then went on to reinstate or put in Raging Al Iaquinta, right? Raging Al Iaquinta, he took Khabib Nurmagomedov 5 rounds, right? A guy that had been off for 2 years. But anyway, that's for another story. I'm sure some of you who know who I am would have heard me mention the story a few times on my other channel and on Twitter. So look, Jon, what's the point in having an interim belt if you're not going to take the fight? What is the point? Why is Jon avoiding Tom Aspinall? I'll tell you why. Why? Tom Aspinall is just as big as Jon, 6'5". He's a big lad, right? Not only that, he is an excellent grappler. Jon will not be able to have his way with him on the ground because Tom is an excellent grappler. That is one of his strengths at heavyweight. Even though he can knock people out, he is actually great off of his back. He's got good fundamentals when it comes to grappling. His jiu-jitsu is pretty good. His dad being his teacher in the beginning, he's been doing it from a young age. I believe he would cause Jon a lot of problems. If Jon was to take down Aspinall, it won't be the end of the story. It won't be the end. He'll have to control him on the ground, and that's another story, right? So Jon favors someone like Alex Pereira because Jon wants to do a similar thing to what he did to Ciryl Gane. Alex Pereira has zero. Your grappling is zero. He has no grappling skills, okay? Zero grappling skills. Pereira would be lost. If Jon Jones takes Alex Pereira down to the ground, that's it. It'll be game over, right? Jon will smother him, get on top of him, either pound him out or submit him. And Jon knows this as well, and that's why he wants to fight Pereira. He wants to do everything in his power to avoid a fight with Tom Aspinall. He wants to do everything in his power. All right. We look back. We got to look back at this, and there's a history of this. Right, I'm not rambling on. There's a history. Jon Jones did not want to fight Alex Reyes. Right? He didn't want to fight Alex Reyes. When that fight finally happened, do you remember? I mean, don't just look at it as on paper like Jon won the fight. I felt like Alex Reyes won that fight. And there was a lot of other people who believed the same as me. We'll go back to the Thiago Santos fight, a middleweight. Thiago Santos being a middleweight, right? Thiago Santos put hands on Jon. Not only that, Thiago Santos blew his knee out in the second round and still managed to go 3 more rounds with Jon. Jon trying to take him down, but Maheta, that's his name, Thiago Santos, was threatening right hands. He's got good blistering power in his hands. He's got good hand speed, got good power in his hands. And Jon was afraid of the power. He couldn't take him down. A one-legged Santos. Jon couldn't take him down. And this is the whole reason why I felt Jon wouldn't beat FrancisZanu. FrancisZanu, with his newfound grappling skills, endorsed by Kamaru Usman, who had helped FrancisZanu with his grappling for his second fight with Stipe Miocic. You visibly see Stipe couldn't take Francis down in the second fight, where he took him down with ease in the first fight. Jon knows he wouldn't be able to take Francis down, especially without taking some type of punishment or risk being knocked out. So, that fight never materialized. And I always felt that Jon wouldn't be able to take Francis down. I always felt like that. Jon, you will not be able to take FrancisZanu down, right? So Tom Aspinall, I can guarantee you this. You're going to have to drag Jon in that ring, kicking and screaming. He is not going to fight Tom Aspinall. He will do everything in his power to avoid it. And if we do get this fight, it's a 50-50 fight. And just like, look, it's a 50-50 fight, right? And Jon could lose. He knows he could lose. And Jon's got a massive ego, and he wants to keep his record intact. He don't want to lose. even though he's got one loss on his record against Matt Hamill. We know that fight was a disqualification, so technically Jon's never really lost in the octagon. Even though we look at the Reyes fight, and some might even look at the Santos fight. You know, I've watched that fight back several times and said it was very close. But yeah, anyway, it is what it is. Anyway, I've got nothing much more to say. But Jon, grow a pair of balls. Please share this video. Smash the like button for me, please. It's a new channel. I'm trying to build it up. The more you guys smash my like button and watch the video, the more it encourages me to make more videos. Anyway, thank you very much. Enough said.